The film begins with a young man named Liger who is helping his mother move from Karimnagar to Mumbai to work in a market. But suddenly a group of thugs, led by Malesh, comes to harass Liger's mother. The mother is not afraid to fight back. Malesh, who is afraid of her, decides to switch the target and approaches Liger instead. He orders his men to take out their weapons. But when he is bullying Liger, suddenly one of Malesh's men named Ali arrives out of breath because he is being chased by a group of thugs from another gang. Ali begs Malesh to help him, but instead of helping Ali, Malesh gets scared and lets the gang have Ali. Unexpectedly, Liger won't let that happen. He fights them all by himself. One by one the thugs are down. People are surprised to know Liger is good at the martial art of Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do is a martial art created by Bruce Lee. After being rescued, Ali is very grateful to Liger. Even now he considers Liger as God. Ali asks Liger for his name, but he is surprised that Liger can't pronounce his name because Liger has a stammering problem. After that, Liger and his mother went to the Jeet Kune Do training center to train himself to be a better fighter. But when he gets there, Liger receives a bad response from a student named Gonpath who mocked Liger's stutter and belittled him. Long story short, Liger and his mother meet Christopher, a former MMA fighter, to enroll Liger there. At first, Coach Chris has doubts about Liger, seeing his nerdy look and the way he talks. But he still accepts him there and asks his mother to prepare the monthly administration fee to practice there. His mother says she doesn't have money and asks Chris to train Liger for free. Chris says why should he train Liger for free? He doesn't open social services there. Chris wants to leave, but then his mother talks about the 2004 MMA championship. At that time, Chris failed to make it to the final because he was defeated by a fighter named Barlam. It was Chris' defeat for the first time in history. Balamani himself died in the final. Chris is surprised when Liger's mother tells him if Liger is the son of Barlam, the person who has defeated Chris. Liger is eventually accepted there, but he has to start from the bottom by becoming a janitor at the dojo. One day while Liger is cleaning the dojo, he is bullied by Gonpath and other students because Liger idolizes Mike Tyson while Liger himself is just a janitor and a loser. Someone provokes Liger, but Liger manages to shut him up. Chaos ensues. They all want to beat Liger, but fortunately, Christopher arrives there and dismisses them. Chris tells Liger to control his emotions. If he can't do it, he should go back to Karimnagar. The next day, Liger joins them in the morning run, but on the way, they meet students from other schools. Gonpath's arrogant attitude annoyed people from other schools, and a fight ensued here. Coach Christopher tries to break up the fight. But when everyone has calmed down, suddenly a coach from another school named Sanju, who is also an MMA fighter, arrives on the scene. He says something bad and wants to hit Chris. His punch is caught by Liger and Liger warns him not to touch his coach. Sanju hits Liger, but Liger acts as if he doesn't feel anything. Chris intervenes again and orders them to leave. After that, Liger goes to a cafe to buy a cup of coffee, but suddenly she's approached by a beautiful girl. Her name is Tanya and she's a popular influencer who has many male fans. Tanya is angry at Liger because his face is similar to the display picture of someone who often bullies her on Facebook, but Liger doesn't have a Facebook account. Tanya becomes even more convinced after she sees Liger's clothes, the JKD's uniform, which turns out to be her school's enemy because it turns out that Tanya is Sanju's sister. Hearing that angers Liger, he pushes Tanya. Tanya is confused because this is the first time a man has pushed her and left her just like that. Tanya is still mad, so she follows Liger to the dojo, intending to take revenge on him. She even brings a knife with her. Liger is busy cleaning up. He wants to approach Tanya when she calls him, but then is called by Christopher. He is instructed to come to the center of the room to do sparring. All of the arrogant students who always underestimated Liger because they think Liger is weak immediately raise their hands, wanting to be picked as Liger's sparring partner. Especially Gonpath, who is the most arrogant of them all. Gonpath begs Chris to allow him to fight Liger. Instead, Chris asks Sankar to come forward to fight Liger, and the fight begins. With the knowledge he learns from Bruce Lee, Liger sends Sankar flying. Gonpath, who sees this, is furious and wants to be allowed to fight Liger. Even so, Coach Chris orders 2 other students to fight Liger and the fight starts again. 2 fighters are not enough to defeat Liger. Coach Chris orders 4 people to fight Liger. Liger manages to defeat these 4 people, then Chris tells Gonpath to fight Liger. Gonpath is ready to show off his skills. He hits Liger with all his might, but his punches are useless. Chris tells Liger to return Ganpath's punch. One hit is all it takes to defeat Ganpath. Unable to accept his defeat, Ganpath urges his friends to gang up on Liger, and a scuffle begins. Facing many opponents, Liger shows them his special moves. And they are all defeated by Liger. Tanya, who comes for revenge now, has a crush on Liger because she has seen his prowess. Chris contacts Liger's mother and says that will register Liger in the MMA championship. His mother tells Liger about it, and she also advises him not to get caught up in the seduction of women. After that, Tanya comes to Liger's house, she flirts, and confesses her feelings to him. And the music on the beach begins. The next day, Tanya is seen going to the temple to pray. This catches the attention of Liger's mother. She doesn't expect to see a beautiful girl like Tanya, who prays diligently in the temple these days. However, she is very surprised after knowing Tanya's prayer activity is only for her social media posts. They argue, and Tanya says disrespectful words to Liger's mother. A few moments later, Liger comes to intervene for her mother. Tanya is surprised after realizing that the woman is Liger's mother, and there goes her mother-in-law's blessing. In the training center, Liger looks sad because he is thinking about Tanya. Ganpath, who is now friends with Liger and treats Liger like his brother, suggests Liger come to see Tanya, but Liger is still not confident. Later that night, Liger and Ganpath go to meet Tanya at a club. Tanya greets them drunkenly. Tanya says that she really likes Liger and Liger's stammer is something she finds cute. The next day, Sanju finds out that Tanya hung out with JKD's students last night. He gets angry and asks who was with him last night. Since Tanya doesn't want Liger to get hurt, she says that last night she was with Ganpath. As a result, that night when Ganpa returns home, he is intercepted and beaten by Sanju's men. Later, Ganpath is brought home by train with bruises on his face. On the train, Liger and his friends meet Sanju's men. To take revenge, Liger invites them to play Kanbari, a slapping game. Unbeknownst to them, one of the passengers is a policeman. Because this game is considered an act of violence, they are arrested. This makes Chris angry and hits them with a rattan. Not only that, at home Liger is scolded by his mother, and his mother advises him not to ruin his career because of a woman. Still not enough, his mother calls Tanya and orders her to stay away from Liger as he needs to focus on the MMA championship. Liger misses Tanya so badly and wants to meet her, so she takes Tanya with her to a quiet place. Maybe it's because of the cold weather, or maybe it's because of Tanya's revealing clothes. They want to do something more. But before they can do more, a piece of wood flies by, and whatever they're going to do has to wait. Tanya tries to stop Sanju, for her Liger is a hero, but Sanju mocks him and calls him a stammering hero. Sanju tells Liger to confess his love to Tanta, but Liger stammers. Liger beats Sanju's men. This scares Tanya, then she decides to leave Liger. The next day, Liger is still confused and can't believe what happened last night. Later at night, Liger tries to stop Tanya and Sanju on the road. Liger asks why at the nightclub. Tanya says his stammering is cute. Tanya says she only said that because she was drunk at the time, and then Tanya leaves him. After that, Liger's heart is broken. His mother can't bear to watch it. She tells her son to harden his heart as hard as a rock and get up. Prove it to all those people who hurt you in the MMA ring. Silence them all by becoming an MMA champion. After hearing that advice, Liger's heart is moved. He gets up and wipes his tears. He trains harder to become an MMA champion. And after training hard, now Liger is ready to fight on the MMA stage. Tonight is the first night of the MMA championship. Liger is entering the arena accompanied by cool music. And the match begins. With several punches, Liger manages to win the match. Elsewhere, Sanju also manages to win in his first fight. In Sanju's second match against Sankar, Sanju seemed to dominate the match. Meanwhile, from outside the arena, Liger provokes Sanju to break his focus. Even so, Sanju still wins. Sanju, who doesn't like Liger's provocation, is angry and jumps out of the arena to attack Liger and his friends, and a commotion ensues. For you guys who like to watch MMA, you will know that this scene is similar to the incident of Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor. The days pass quickly, and finally, today is the final day. The final night will pit Liger against Sanju. Liger and Sanju enter the ring. Before the fight starts, Sanju video calls Tanya, and he shows the screen to Liger. Tanya immediately belittles and humiliates Liger with crude words. After being insulted through a video call, the fight starts. They can balance each other well, but unfortunately, Sanju manages to pin Liger. While he is being pinned, through the video call he can hear Tanya mocking him again. It makes him angry and starts attacking Sanju. The timeout bell rings, but Sanju, who is still pissed, attacked Liger. There is a commotion as a result. Because of this, both fighters are given a yellow card. And after that the fight starts again. The battle is getting fiercer, but suddenly Liger kicks Sanju with his special attack, defeating Sanju in the end. Liger won and Tanya is incredibly embarrassed. Later his mother tells him she's so proud of him. This victory is his father's dream, but he couldn't achieve it. Now Liger manages to achieve it. Later Liger wants to buy snacks for his mother, but suddenly the residents start flocking to him, asking him for a selfie together. Soon after, a reporter arrives to interview him, and although stammering, Liger says he wants to continue his career to bring India to the international MMA scene. A day later the sentence that Liger uttered goes viral, even becoming a TikTok trend song that makes all Indians dance. Unfortunately, even though the citizens are enthusiastic, the government does not want to support him and rejects Chris' request to bring Liger to the international scene. After that, Chris, Liger, and his friends are moping together in the dojo. They think about how talented Liger is, but no one wants to support him since he isn't being appreciated by the government. During their turmoil, Ollie suddenly comes driving a luxury car. Ollie knows that Liger has no sponsor since his application has been rejected by the government. Ollie, who is feeling indebted to Liger because he was saved by Liger in the past, tries to call his friend in America to ask for help. Ollie contacts Pendy, a wealthy businessman from India who lives in America. Pendy is very supportive of Liger and he is ready to sponsor Liger. Hearing that, Ollie asks Pendy to prepare VIP class tickets to take them to America. But Pendy does not want to do it because he thinks it's offensive. Pendy thinks it's not appropriate to give a VIP class ticket to a national hero like Liger. Someone like Liger should use a private jet instead. So he lends them his private jet. If only I had a friend like Pendy in my life. Liger travels to the USA and arrives at Pendy's house. Liger wants to thank him, however, Pendy tells him not to mention it and asks Liger to bring India's flag to the international MMA scene, and Liger agrees. The days pass quickly, and finally, the first night of the International MMA Championship is here. Tonight Liger will face a British fighter named Darren Bull. They enter the ring, and without further ado, the match begins. At first, Liger is overwhelmed by Darren's fighting skills, but suddenly Liger finds a newfound power that makes him stronger and can keep up with Darren. Even so, at the end of the round, Darren manages to corner Liger. During the timeout, Chris advises Liger to be more focused. If Liger lost this match, Chris will have to punish Liger later. Afraid of the punishment, Liger becomes more focused and beats Darren badly in the second round. At the end of the round, Liger wants to pin Darren, but suddenly the bell rings and saves Darren from defeat. The third round begins and again Liger is overwhelmed by Darren. Liger falls, but at that time Liger's mother, who is watching from India, suddenly shouts at Liger to stand up. Unexpectedly, the voice of her mother from India reaches Liger in America. What kind of magic is this? Liger hears his mother's voice, and he immediately gets up, afraid that he would be beaten with a broom if he doesn't listen to her. Liger immediately goes back to hitting Darren, and finally, he manages to defeat Darren in the end. After the victory, instead of being congratulated, Liger is scolded by his mother because she thinks Liger is too weak and gets hit too often. His mother advised him, the next time when he feels like he's going to lose, he should pretend that his opponent is the one who has killed his father. That way Liger will become stronger. The next night Liger will face a Russian fighter who wears a frizzy hair wig. His name is Dmitry, aka fake Khabib Nurmagomedov. 0.7. The fight begins. Liger only needs to fight one round to win this fight. In the next fight, Liger manages to win against Bruno, a fighter from Germany, then Lee, a fighter from Korea. Then he fights Mosi, a fighter from Africa, Liang, a fighter from China, Rasmus, a fighter from Denmark, and then Bonanna, a fighter from Thailand. Celebrating his victories, before the final night Pendy holds a party for him. Later Liger is surprised after knowing that Pendy is Sanju's father, which means he is also the father of Tanya. And then Pendy reintroduces Tanya to Liger. Later Tanya is told to take Liger back to his hotel. And when they arrive at the hotel, suddenly Tanya is kidnapped. Liger tries to help her, but they manage to escape. Liger reports this to Penny, but apparently Penny just gets a call from the kidnapper's boss who ordered Penny to pay off his debt immediately. Penny explains to Liger that in the past he owes money to someone to buy a 5-star hotel, but because of the pandemic, he has lost a lot of money. Truthfully, Penny can pay his debt using a check, but the kidnapper's boss asks Penny to pay it in cash. After that, Liger secretly goes to the kidnapper's headquarters with an empty suitcase, pretending he has the money. But there Liger is greeted by a group of women fighters. They know if the suitcase is empty, so they attack Liger. Liger, who doesn't want to fight women, is having a hard time. He almost squeezes the melon. Phew, that was close. Soon another car of women fighters arrives, and they attack Liger. Liger, who still doesn't want to fight women, is defeated and ends up in the hospital. After that, Liger is scolded by Penny because his actions will endanger Tanya's life. Penny tells Liger to be responsible because all of this is Liger's fault. Penny also confesses that he knows everything. He knows that Liger and Tanya have been dating and then break up. In fact, their breakup is a part of Tanya's plan. Back then, after being scolded by Liger's mother, Tanya realized that her presence will break Liger's focus on the championship. Therefore, she pretended to be cruel to him and left Liger so that Liger could be more focused on the championship. And the real reason Penny wanted to sponsor Liger was because Tanya begged Penny to be the sponsor. Hearing this, Liger becomes more desperate and immediately goes to find Tanya. Suddenly Liger remembers if one of the female fighters is good at Krav Maga. Liger quickly goes to Krav Maga Center. And sure enough, there Liger meets one of the fighters. Let's just call her Laura. Because he is very upset, Liger attacks Laura. Liger also asks her about Tanya's whereabouts. Laura, who is being overpowered by Liger, says that Tanya is at Sandy Valley Ranch. Liger immediately travels to that place. Arriving there, he meets a group of cowboys who bring Tanya with them. Liger is surprised to find out that the boss of the kidnappers is his all-time idol, Mike Tyson. Liger tells him about how much he admires Mike Tyson and he already considers him as his god, and of course, he can't fight him just like that. Hearing that, Tyson is flattered and asks Liger what he wants. Liger says that he wants Tanya. Tyson will give Tanya back to him as long as he can pay Penny's debt, but Liger says that he doesn't have money. Since he doesn't have money, Tyson tells Liger that Liger can have Tanya, but Liger has to defeat him first. They are ready to fight. It turns out that today is the final night of the MMA championship, but instead of being there in the venue, Liger is here fighting Mike Tyson. Liger and Mike Tyson start fighting. Liger tried to defeat Mr. Tyson, but one punch from Tyson is enough to send Liger flying. The cowboys who are there are broadcasting the fight live on YouTube. In the end, the MMA committee does not broadcast the final match. Instead, they broadcast Liger's fight against Tyson. Here Liger is helpless. He is being beaten back and forth by Tyson. Suddenly Liger remembers his mother's words. When he feels like he's going to lose, he should pretend that his opponent is the one who has killed his father. And suddenly Liger goes berserk and enters Super Saiyan mode. Liger starts attacking Tyson, and now this fight turns into a SmackDown event. Liger manages to pin Tyson and bites his ear. Tyson tries to fight back, but Liger attacks Mike Tyson again, and due to his old age, Tyson loses the fight and surrenders.
Hey, no, wait, stop.
So Liger won. After the fight, Tyson asks Liger to take a selfie together. And then the film ends.